Okay, this is a sales letter from Gary Bencivenga, one of the most highly respected copywriters today. And he's basically in retirement. So when he does write a letter, copywriters become very excited and to look at his letters and, you know, make them a part of his, you know, swipe file. So this is one letter that he did recently. And I would just like to use this letter to illustrate some important points about copywriting, and we're going to basically see a master here at work. Okay, now a couple of lessons we want to illustrate here is that here is a letter about olive oil. Okay, and one of the rules of thumb of copywriting is if you're writing about something that is very complicated, then you make it simple. If you're writing about something that is very simple, then you want to make it complicated. The same thing applies as well to if you're trying to sell something that is very common, then you have to make it exclusive. Well, if you're selling something that is exclusive, you do not want to make it appear common, except you're going to want to try to make it available to other people, so that the reverse there wouldn't be true. But the whole point about it here is that here we find that he's selling, you know, olive oil. Olive oil is a product that you can go into any store or supermarket and buy a bottle of olive oil. You have different types of olive oil that you can buy, but I mean, why use a particular sales letter in order to sell olive oil? You know, something that you can just commonly go and pick up in the in the store. And so we're going to find, therefore, then that all throughout this letter, he's going to try to educate the reader on why they have to buy this exclusive, expensive olive oil. So he's going to educate them about the olive oil, and also we're going to see that he's going to try as much as possible to make this particular brand of olive oil to appear as exclusive as possible, especially for the price that he's going to be asking for it. So this is what we commonly refer to as a USP, a unique selling proposition. You know, when you're selling something, or when you're in a market where there are a lot of competition, you know, then you have to show how you stand out from the crowd, and then you have to show, you know, your unique selling proposition. So in this case, he has to show how this particular brand of olive oil is so unique. Okay, so let's take it here. We have the header header photo here that's very attractive. Fresh pressed olive oil, the predominant use of green, and you'll see why. The predominance of the green color. But first, let's go to the headline: fresh pressed olive oil. Now you can be among the tiny handful of Americans who can enjoy rare fresh pressed olive oil whenever you wish. Okay, now here we see the call again to rarity and exclusivity and appealing to vanity. Okay, now you can be among the tiny handful of Americans, okay, who can enjoy this rare fresh pressed olive oil whenever you wish. Okay, so he's calling out his audience as people who want to be a part of this tiny exclusive group. So this is not for everyone. This is just for a tiny exclusive group. And so if you are going to use this olive oil, it means now then you are among this tiny group. Okay, so you're being called out from the general crowd, and so he's appealing to your sense of pride and vanity, and of being, you know, part of this, you know, exclusive group. Okay, now these oils, it says here that these oils are outrageously, insanely bright and flavorful, the best tasting olive oil in the world, but you won't find them in your supermarket or gourmet. Again, it's exclusive, not available in stores. Here's why, and how you can reserve your own, you know, private supply. Again, exclusivity. Announcing the fresh pressed olive oil club. Now it says, "Dear olive oil aficionado." Okay, now when I saw this word at first, I had to go to the dictionary now to find out what the meaning was. And here he is basically breaking a rule of copywriting The rule of copywriting is that, and this rule of copywriting is that you want to make your letter to be as readable and simple as possible. In fact, many copywriters say that you'll want your letter to have a readability of grade 9. In other words, someone who has completed grade 9, they should be comfortable be able to read your letter. But a rule that trumps that one in terms of readability is, more importantly, you want your letter to appeal to your target market. And in this case, definitely his target market is the person who is educated, the person who is, affluent, the person who is upper, maybe middle class or upper middle class. And so therefore, just by the choice of words, he's saying, well, if you don't know what this word means, then maybe this product is not for you. Also, by the very choice of words as well too, he is surrounding his product with a certain verbal atmosphere. Just the words that are used, therefore, places the product in a certain class. Okay? So he's not using the common conversational language and tone, of the on the street person. Okay? He's using a kind of a language that you would expect in the conversation of a certain people or a certain class of people who would be using this particular, who would be using this particular kind of oil. Okay, and if we just go to the dictionary, we see here that aficionado means a person who likes and knows a lot about something. A person who likes and knows about and appreciates, usually fervently pursue a particular interest. Okay, so that's the meaning of the word. But normally, in copywriting, you would not want to use a word where you have to send the person to the dictionary in order to find out what the meaning is. Okay, you'll want your language to be as simple as possible so that everybody can understand. But again, as I said, what trumps that rule is that you want to make sure that you're appealing to the very audience of your target market. Okay, so let's continue here. It says, so dear olive oil aficionado, a major olive oil opportunities at hand, but if you're interested, you must act quickly. As I tell all my foodie friends, olive oil, unlike wine, does not improve with time, just the opposite. It's at its peak of delicious perfection immediately after its press. This is why the locals in the olive oil growing regions of Italy, Spain, Greece, and other Mediterranean countries go crazy, as I do, over fresh pressed oil. They joyously throw harvest parties to celebrate its arrival, its vibrant, youthful bloom of heavenly taste and extraordinary health benefits. These marvelous qualities start to fade within 3 to 6 months after bottling, and this is true of all olive oil, which is why fresh pressed oil is superior to any other kind of oil. Now note here that he goes directly into educating the reader, because the question that you're going to have on your mind as you're reading this letter is, what is so special about this oil? Again, I said, you can just go to this store and, go to a local Walmart or your local supermarket and pick up a bottle of olive oil. You have different types of brands of olive oil, and maybe you want to go for the extra virgin olive oil, which would be the more expensive one. So imported from Italy. So why so special? So he has to answer that question right up front, because that's the most important question in the person's mind. Okay, and the question that he's answering up front is, why be so worried about my olive oil that I'm buying in the store? And here he's telling you the reason why you should be worried about this olive oil is because the oil that you have in your store may have been around for a very long time, and it has lost its flavor and so forth. Now, another thing that we realize right here as well too is the kind of food network kind of language that he's using here. Okay, everything that the words that he's using is appealing to, sight and taste. Okay, so the choice of words become very important, very important here. And as we go through, you're going to realize that there's a dominance of the consonant S. There are a lot of words with the S sound, S words that have, predominance of S tend to be poetic and, tend to appeal not only to the sense of hearing, but also, to the sense of taste. Okay. And so he says, this is why, you know, you should be concerned. Now, and so right up front, he's telling you what the big problem is. Okay, that he's telling you right up front what the problem that his product is going to solve. Okay, so he's starting out by showing you what the problem is, and then he's going to show you how his product is going to solve this problem. Okay, so a very common kind of a structure for a sales letter, you know, where you, you know, start off by making the person a promise, telling them what the problem is, and later on you give them the solution to the problem. So the big problem for us in America is only a precious trickle of fresh pressed olive oil ever makes it to our shores. The vast preponderance of the olive oil that finds its way to the U.S. gets shipped months, maybe even years after pressing. It travels here by molasses slow cargo ship. As a result, the oil, fresh, bright flavor is already on a downward spiral by the time it is unloaded at our docks. And when it may languish additional months, losing more flavors and growing more stale as it sits on our shelves. Now, by the time you've read this now, you start doubting the olive oil that you have in your kitchen. I mean, he has to, here he's agitating the problem. You know, he's making the olive oil that you bought in the store appear, I mean, really old, even outdated, expired, rancid. Okay, because that is the only way in which he can elevate his oil. Okay, by making your oil appear to be, you know, needing something, lacking something. Okay, so I said this is why so many of the olive oil is sold in the gourmet stores. Okay, so even if you buy in gourmet stores, which would be special stores, bottled and labeled without reference to their production dates, make it impossible for you to determine how fresh they are. Remember, I'm speaking now of the production date, not the best used by date. Many mass marketers of olive oil purposely omit the production date because they know that discriminating olive oil lovers always prize freshness. Now, I'm not sure if food is actually, as far as I know, most food that you buy in the store really doesn't contain a production date. Okay, I mean, I may be wrong in that case, but I don't think that most foods, I mean, have a production date on them. They normally have an expiration date, and, you know, it would say expire by this time and so forth. Okay, maybe some do, you know, but I know that most, you know, most foods and so forth, you know, that they don't really have a production date. They would more have an expiration date. Okay, and so here now, he's making you basically doubt again the value of the oil that, you know, that you are using right now. So he said many mass marketers of olive oil purposely omit the production date because they know that discriminated olive oil lovers always prize freshness. Okay, now here, now where he has you here now, the whole psychology of the statement here now is that he's saying that if you didn't notice that the production date is not on your olive oil bottle, he's saying then that you do not belong to this class. He's saying that you are not a discriminating olive oil lover, because if you did, you will be smart enough to look at the production date on the olive oil bottles or containers that you buy and realize that something is wrong and realize that it's outdated. So again, not only is he putting down your olive oil, but in a way he's saying, hey friend, hey reader, you got a problem. You didn't even realize you have the problem, but you have a problem. Again, you have to convince a reader, your prospect, that he has a problem before he wants your solution. Okay, so right now he's telling you, well, even if you buy in the gourmet store, in other words, then if you buy your olive oil in the gourmet store, well, you're kind of discriminating. But if you don't even know that you're supposed to look for the production date, then you don't belong to this class. And of course, he's going to fix that problem for you, telling you how you can now belong to this particular class. Okay, now without production date. Now, and that's why, just like I used to, have probably been seduced by fancy bottles and pretty labels only to bring home mediocre olive oil whose flavors have faded and dull and become rancid. Now what he did here, what has he done here? Now he has just put you down. Okay, he had just put you down to say that you don't belong to this particular class. But then he now empathized with you and said, but guess what? You know, I don't blame you too much because I also made that same mistake as well too. So, you know, he kind of, you know, give you a little slap to the face and then kind of give you a little caress afterwards to kind of show you that, you know, don't worry, don't feel too bad because I used to be a part of that group as well too. Okay, and so of course now he's going to tell you how you now can become a part of this particular exclusive group. Now he says that you and I, see, now he's grouping you now, he's grouping you with himself now. Say now, okay, now let's hug, we are friends. From now onwards, you know, let's belong to this particular exclusive group. Okay, so now he is bringing you now into the fold. Okay, so he says now you and I insist on fresh milk and fresh fish. Why not fresh olive oil? Now to me this is downright unfair. As consumers we insist on fresh bread and so forth. Why not olive oil? Don't we also have a right for fresh olive oil? Of course we do. But the olive oil industry distribution system is designed to ship the oil as inexpensively as possible via slow cargo ship, resulting in the widespread consumption of our shores of flat, subpar, even stale oil, regardless of the price that you may be willing. Now, this is a classic position that's taken by, you know, many marketers and copywriters. And that is to, you know, blame the big guy. You know, you blame Wall Street, you blame the government, you blame doctors, you know, as a group, you blame authority, and now you are this small David that is going up against the Goliath. You know, people often root for the underdog, okay? And so here now he is putting the blame not on you and for your discriminatory action in not reading the production date, but the problem is not, you know, is not you, but these big companies, you know, who they want to save a buck and they ship the oil so slow, so inexpensively, and by the time you get it, it is all stale. So in other words, it's not your fault. So he said, now I was determined to find a solution, and I did. Several years ago, I became aware of some very greatest, freshest, most outrageously delicious olive oil in the world from Sicily, and I consider one of the world's most exciting olive oil regions. Not unexpectedly, I learned that most of it was not available in America, so I called the producer to try and cajole him into further export and see if there were any way that he could ship it. So now he's telling us, keeping our interest by telling us a story about how he was able to discover this particular, you know, olive oil. Now he told me that if I paid for the shipping, that he would be likely to do so, but needed a U.S. contact to handle the pesky details of importation, especially if I wanted to ship by plane, since neither he nor any of the producers he knew ever did that. Okay, so again, he's building up to show you how exclusive this is. Now he says, and how exclusive, you know, his club is. Now he said, I wanted to ship by plane since neither of you. So in other words, the other people not shipping by plane, they're shipping the slow method by boat. Okay. Now, why don't you be the first to do it, TJ? So if you'll be the importer, I'll send you my best oil, and I will send it not by slow cargo ship. Okay, I doubt that the person actually said slow cargo ship, but again, he's preparing you for the sale to come. So you and your friends in America can taste exactly the same fresh oil we celebrate the harvest time here in Sicily. Now, this is something that I've never done or even considered. I checked out the cost of shipping oil here by plane, and to my surprise, found that small quantities, the cost is not prohibitive. I was working in New York City as the, now note he didn't say the cost was cheap, okay, because if he says the cost is cheap, then he would not be justifying the price that he will be charging you later on. He said it was just not prohibitive, okay. Saying cheap and not prohibitive, big difference, okay, big difference between saying not prohibitive and saying cheap. Okay, so I was working in New York City as the associate editor of a popular food and wine newsletter at the time. Early in this career, in other words, then he knows his stuff, credibility. Early in this career had also been achieved. So thanks to those two jobs, I had access to hundreds of foodie friends and contacts. I asked them, would you be interested in trying authentic fresh pressed oil, olive oil, and the likes of which you have never tasted? And many of them, you know, said, sure. So I mulled everything over in my thought, why not? This could be an opportunity to bring this outrageously flavorful oil as long last in the US, and I knew that there would be a huge hit with my foodie friends. So, well, their response was overwhelming. My fresh pressed oil had created a sensation. Foodies and chefs could not get over what a different just pressed olive oil made flavor made to their food, and salads and fish and vegetables and green. Everything that you would normally sprinkle with ordinary gourmet store olive oil, okay, ordinary, okay, now come gloriously alive with the flavors of fresh pressed oil. Now, after the oil was gone, people started asking me, in some cases begging for more. TJ, you have spoiled us. You can't give us a taste of paradise like this and then cut us off. We need more of that fresh pressed oil. We can't wait a whole year until the next harvest in Sicily. You must find us more now, please. So he said, found himself daydreaming, what if I could find such harvest fresh, highest quality olive oil made somewhere in the world, anywhere in the world, every 3 months or so that we could enjoy year-round fresh pressed olive oil at the peak of flavor and intensity. Okay, so he's using a story to tell you how he came about discovering this olive oil, and of course giving you a background to how he was able to how he's able to bring this olive oil to Americans. Now, so is this feasible, I asked. No, agriculturally, yes, thanks to different climate and the annual harvest times at different world over. For example, from the latest summer of early winter, somewhere in Italy, Spain, or France, or Greece, or Tunisia, or Israel, or California, is pressing fresh pressed olive oil. But what about late winter to early summer? No problem. It turned out, thanks to immigrants who left their Mediterranean homeland decades ago and smuggled priced olive oil cuttings out of their countries, often hidden in their ties to avoid arrest. Today, some of the world's greatest olive oil producers are flourishing in the southern hemisphere. That means that during the winter and up the early summer, we can obtain fresh, highest quality olive oil from the sun-kissed groves of Argentina, Chile, Australia, New Zealand, etc. and so forth. So note here that this section of the letter, he's basically educating you about olive oil, educating about the different regions in the world where they are, where they are grown, and how he's going to be able to get you fresh pressed olive oil all year round. Okay? And so I did this. I took the plunge. I left my job at the food newsletter, jumped in with both feet, became the olive oil hunter, and launched our exclusive club, the Fresh Press Olive Oil Club. This announcement is your invitation to join us on this wonderful and ever so much fun adventure in the greatest taste and health benefits of the world's freshest olive oil can bestow. So 4 times a year, roughly November, February, July, May, I travel the world following the sun to sample hundreds of fresh pressed olive oil right at the harvest time in each oil growing regions. I pick up the top 3 best of oils and arrange them to have them bottled on the spot. Then I put my treasures on a jet plane, and after they land in America, I rush them right to your door by express delivery truck. This is the kind of olive oil that the Italians call novello. Though their countries don't use the same term, in every case, no matter what the region of origin, I secure for our club members the freshest, most flavorful and healthiest olive oil available in the world, and delivered from olive grove to table to 30 days or less at the peak of freshness and health benefits. So when you become a charter member, again, he's appealing to vanity, exclusivity. You become a charter member of the club. You can expect 3 bottles. You'll have a choice in 2 sizes of the world's freshest oil to choose from. Okay, he's starting to call to action already. You will never have to expend a drop of energy or waste a second precious time in tracking down great olive oil. You will be quite literally one of the few people on the planet with a continuous supply of just fresh pressed, insanely fresh olive oil. So he's educating you about the oil. He's telling you how he's able to get it fresh to you, all year round, and he's indicating to you how he himself goes, tastes the oil, make sure that it is bottled there on the spot, and how he gets it to you. So it's preparing you later on for the price basically that you'll have to pay for this oil, seeing the trouble that he has to go through in order to get this fresh pressed oil to you. So it's kind of preparing you later on for the price presentation. In other words, then he's taking the time to build value, okay, build the value of this olive oil. Now, as in wine, okay, notice what he's comparing to. Okay, so he's classing now and juxtaposing the olive oil to wine. Okay, of course, you have wine and then you have wine. Okay, wine can range in expense. Okay, so he's using the idea of wine because it fits very neatly with the idea of olive oil. Okay, like you can get different quality wine, so you can also get different quality olive oil. Now, as in wine, the possible permutation of taste and texture in olive oil are infinite, and you will experience the fineness of every variety as a charter member. So he's not just using wine to talk about the different tastes, because about everything have different tastes. There are different tastes mangoes, there are different tastes apples, but the fact that he's using wine again is because he wants to keep, you know, the olive oil in a certain class. Okay. Now, oh, that rich and very delightful awaits your palate as you anticipate the pleasures that come to you. Keep in mind the olive oil world is divided into two parts: oil made from unripe olive and oil made from ripe olive. Okay, he's continued to educate the reader about different types of olive oils, the time at which they are picked, and how that, you know, is going to influence their how it's going to influence their taste. And so he's not only educating you but also showing you his expertise. For example, you taste the full character of the green olive oil that is much a favorite among olive oil lovers the world over. It's made from green unripe olive and is a treat for the eyes. It not only tastes good, it looks good with its highly attractive greenish glint. Then comes the flavor, variously described as grassy, herbaceous, fruity, and always intense. Lastly, this type of fresh pressed oil has a pepperiness to it, which is most readily detectable as a sting in the back of the throat, highly desirable when the oil is being used to enliven food, just as pepper is desirable in the same way. So he's appealing to your sense of taste. Okay, notice the predominance of the S, go through the S, comes, variously describes, grassy, herbaceous, fruity, always, intense. Lastly, pepperiness. Okay, notice the predominance of the S sound. Okay, so he's using the language of food, of a chef, you know, of someone who is selling, you know, of a food critic. Okay. Now, every region produces its own unique flavor and texture. Now, as you'll also discover, one of the greatest things about olive oil made from unripe olive is fascinating variability. Not unlike wine, which is dependent on terroir, olives to take on the character of the region where they are grown. Okay, continue to educate you on the flavor, and a connoisseur's choice of words again puts you in a certain class. Contrast this with another great green olive from Spain and Andalusia, and again he's selling you on, you know, educating you on the oil and also showing you his expertise. Okay, so trying to tell you that, you know, well, all olive oils are not olive oil. Okay. In each case, the oil releases its bright, distinctive charms the moment that it hits your tongue. Olive oil made from ripe black olives are much gentler, milder, more buttery. And I haven't even begun to describe the rich attraction of the fresh pressed oil made from ripe olives. Oil that is much gentler, milder, smoother, rounder. It looks into different as well, usually a glimmering gold from fat, precious drops squeezed out of the black olive oils. The two most famous regions in the kind of oil are Provence in South France and Liguria, where the fresh Riviera sags into the Italian. Okay, so notice here the kind of language that he's using, the kind of language that you would use not only to sell food but also, you know, like to sell a vacation. You know, like to sell. He's not only selling the food, the olive oil, but also selling the places as well too. These milder ripe olive oils will earn their own special place in the menu planning. When you receive them, they will be perfect for food with subtle flavors that you don't want to overpower. Fish, for example, were you to pour green olive oil over a piece of steamed halibut, you will not taste the fish at all. Golden provincial oil, however, will layer a mild patina of butter flavor over the snowy white flesh, perfectly preserving the taste. Okay, notice how here is appealing to the sense of taste of the ocean. As a member of the fresh pressed olive oil, you'll quickly become a connoisseur of the finest fresh pressed olive oil from all over the world. Every new bottle will be a delicious adventure in olive oil appreciation, accompanied by the club's tasting notes, recipes, and recommendations for use. Okay, so by this time, you know, he has your mouth watering, you know, because he's talking about food and the freshness that the olive oil is going to bring out. And, you know, you just can't wait, you know, just to get just a sample, just to get a taste. And of course, you know, that is, you know, his job. Okay, so reserve today. Now, if you'd like to become a charter member, here's now his call to action. If you'd like to become a charter member of Fresh Press Olive Oil, please let me know right away so we'll have enough time to make the arrangements with our artisanal producers in time for the next harvest of shipping dates. Okay, so right here is telling you that if you want to get one of these, it's not a matter of just placing an order. You have to let me know in time because arrangements have to be made. In order to get this, make sure it is, get this, to you in a particular time, and plans have to be made, okay, in order to get this to you. So it's not a matter of just pressing a button, ordering, and it just ships to you, okay. Again, it is showing you that it is exclusive, it is rare, and you can't just order right away and think that you'll get it just like that. Okay, so we have two options here. They have the 500 millimeter set, a large set of 500 millimeters, which is about 17 ounces, and that you can get for $124 per quarter. And the second option they give you is the 250 for the 84. Now, normally when a marketer or copywriter gives you two options, now notice that this is the best value and say this is an excellent value. Now you realize that this is twice as much as this, but the price here is not half. Okay, 87 is not half of 124. Okay, so right away he is actually pushing you to get to take the best value. So normally when you give two prices like this, you always make the lower price more than half of the original price. In other words, then he's encouraging you to get this price because the price is actually cheaper per milliliter. Okay, and so he could have given just one price, but one is giving you a choice, but two, he's giving you a choice, but it's not really a choice, really. Okay, because you would want, he's actually pushing you towards this set. Okay, now whichever option you select, your oils will be accompanied by my pressing report describing the producer, olive varieties, regions, harvest, delivery. Now note here that he has already educated you on where the oil comes from and so forth. But again, even to make this even more exclusive, he's telling you that when you get your oil, you're also going to get information. You're also going to get a report, okay, describing how the oil comes from, where it comes from, and so forth. Again, he's making this more exclusive. In other words, it's almost like you're going to get your oil with a manual accompanying it. Okay? Again, making it exclusive. Okay? That's the main appeal of this letter. And it is needed to make it exclusive because, again, as I said at the beginning, olive oil is something that you can get commonly. Okay, it says never a minimum commitment, and you can cancel at any time. Tell it that there's no minimum commitment. If you want to cancel, you also have a 30-day money-back guarantee. This is pretty standard. The offer we are presenting here is available nowhere else. It's not available in stores. Let you know that it's not available in stores. Again, appealing to exclusivity. No, there's no catalog you can get it in, and so forth. This is the only way. The only way you can get it is from me and being a charter member. Now, it says you'll be amazed of the flavor, a general appeal, the general appeal that he has made as well too, the flavor, taste. So I urge you to be among the handful of Americans who will be able to enjoy this fresh olive oil without needing your own private jet and pilot to whisk you. And again, what he's doing here is showing you that if you had to do this yourself, if you had to go and get the oil yourself, it would be a lot more expensive. Okay, so basically he's saying that you're choosing the cheaper option. Okay, you don't have to travel like I have traveled all over the world in order to get this oil. I'm going to travel, hunt it down, and get it for you. So basically, you're actually getting it at a bargain price because you don't have to pay, okay, for a ticket. Okay, now you can now let the dishes you serve be dramatically enhanced. These oil live with vibrant flavors, and if you can ever part with one of your treasure bottles, think of what a fabulous, exclusive, and personal gift it would be. So not only can you get the oil for you, but also it's showing that, telling you now you can now show off to your friends. Okay, you can show off to your friends and other family members, okay, about this oil, and of course, again, appealing to your vanity. Now, similarly, this is one of those little luxuries at most reasonable price that can add such delight and satisfaction and comfort to every meal you serve and partake. We all deserve such simple daily pleasures these days. Now, what inspires me to say that? Perhaps you have traveled to Italy and other lands where the culture encourages people to celebrate the pleasures of being alive, taking time from the daily grind of our already decades to appreciate family and friends, and to celebrate fine food and drink at mealtime. Perhaps you have noticed, as I have, how this attitude adds a little sparkle and romance to daily life that we and Americans usually forego with our noses so close to the grinding stone. Our thoughts so often on tomorrow and not the pleasures of the moment. Well, for me, one way I intend to bring more simple daily pleasure into my life is to indulge myself in this gloriously flavorful, ever so helpful, fresh pressed olive oil whenever I wish. This club brings you so much dining pleasure at such reasonable cost. Indeed, this fresh pressed, super healthy olive oil can add vibrant flavors and nutritional goodness to more than 100 meals over the next 3 months for less than the price of a single dinner at a restaurant. So what is appealing here is to lifestyle. And it's basically telling you, you work hard, your noses are pressed to the grindstone, you work hard and you deserve a break. You deserve the pleasure, of at least being able to sit down and, enjoy the pleasure of this olive oil. So it's basically telling you, you work hard, at least you deserve this luxury. Now, if you appreciate the value of such a delightful daily pleasure can represent, I invite you to join me in this exciting adventure or year-long follow the sun quest for the greatest and the freshest olive oil in the world, as you vicariously travel the globe with me to capture this precious liquid gold. Who can resist such great taste and such fabulous thing? Yours for fabulous food, TJ Robinson. Okay, and finally he closes off here with the PS. Please provide your actual street address or order form and not a PO box, as FedEx or UPS cannot deliver your PO box address. The overnight shipping companies we use also need your phone number in case question of delivery. Now, the whole idea here is not just to let you know that you need to give your actual address. Okay, that's not the main point here. The main point here is to let you know that the product is going to be rushed to you. Okay, so again, even in the PS, even in the shipping, asking you for the shipping information, he's reminding you that your olive oil is going to be fresh. Okay, that's the main point that he wants to stress here, that you're going to get the olive oil, is going to be rushed to you, and your oil is going to be, fresh. Okay, now let's look at some other, facets of the letter that we skipped over. Over earlier on. Okay, note here that in this, in this sidebar, it gives you a quick rundown of T.J. Robinson and to build credibility. Tells about his story, that he's respected, one of the most world's respected authorities on this matter of olive oil. He's one of the few Americans to be invited to serve as judge and so forth. Okay, so all this is basically telling you about, trying to build credibility for the owner of this product. But while it's actually telling you about him as well too, he's also selling the product as well too. Okay, so note here how he mentions the olive oil. He talks about the growing regions, Mediterranean. He talks about the olive oil. So the main thing here, how it is fresh pressed. He talks about here the olive oil. So the main idea here is that it's not just telling you the background of the T.J. Robinson, but it's also here also selling the oil as well too. Okay, which is the main point. Okay, so while it's building credibility for him, he's also selling the he's also selling the oil as well too. In this way, the members of the fresh pressed olive oil can get savor, share their friends' oils unlike any other available. These oils are incredibly fresh and bright, rush to you via the flavors and health ingredients. Okay, and so forth. So the main idea here for this, the main idea here for this sidebar is really to get you into reading the rest of the letter. Okay, so it's giving you, here he's basically selling you actually on reading, the rest of the, in reading the rest of the letter. Okay, so here we have a very effective, here we have a very effective, sales copy, again written by Bencivenga, Gary Bencivenga himself. And even though I didn't address every aspect of the letter. I think I look at the main aspects of the letter. So in summary, again, we see that he has made something that is very common to be very exclusive. He have done a lot of education and explanation, because the biggest question on your mind is going to be, you know, what's so big about olive oil, and what's so special about, you know, olive oil that I can get you know, just go and pick up in the store. And also he has appealed directly to your sense of taste, and have made a general appeal as well to of you being in part of this exclusive, you know, being a part of this exclusive, of a big part of this exclusive club. And so the real central appeal here, therefore, then, is that if you join